built on relationships, focused on people, and rooted in the community. Welcome to the Build Blue podcast. Tune in for weekly episodes featuring guests who are building a better tomorrow. You'll hear inspiring stories from industry leaders, business owners, community partners, and our team members. The Build Blue podcast, where construction comes to life. An Apex Construction Group production. Welcome to the Build Blue podcast. My name is Jess Blaze. I'm the Business and Community Relations Manager here at Apex Construction Group and host of the Build Blue podcast. And we are joined today by Matt Lassonde, City Planner for City of North Mankato. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming in and thank you for being on the podcast. We'll start by letting you introduce yourself and tell us about what you do, Matt.
Yeah, so my name is Matt Lassonde, as you said. I've been a city planner with North Mankato for as of September of 2020. Prior to that, I was a private sector transportation planner with Bolton and Bank. And then prior to that, I was an intern at North Mankato. So sort of started my career with North Mankato, worked for them while I was doing private sector transportation planning, and then came on in 2020 full time as their in-house planner.
Awesome. So. And we always ask an icebreaker on the podcast.
Sure.
So I have to ask, if you could open and run any business, what would it be?
You know, I have a couple. I always thought that having a small sandwich shop would be fun, like where I'm the one making the sandwiches. I'm right at the counter talking to people, you know, kind of a one-of-a-kind joint in downtown or someplace. And just having some regulars and, you know, I grew up with my family had a sandwich shop where we made and delivered sandwiches to convenience stores, and I don't know, it's just something that I always thought, I would like to have this in a storefront and have it in downtown somewhere. So, but I also am a woodworker of sorts. I was a former carpenter, so I enjoy woodworking, and if I could see a path for a business for that, I probably would have done that too. So.
That's excellent. I love asking that question because oftentimes guests will be reminded of something from their childhood or a family business or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's a fun question to ask.
Yeah.
We would like to ask, tell us more about what the role of city planner involves for someone who maybe isn't familiar.
Yeah. So as a city planner, I guess we serve several roles, do many things. It's never boring. Work closely with city administration and community development, the community development director. We take a strategic look at development in the community, strategic look at land use and zoning and how we're locating different uses in our community. And that helps guide development. So then we're working with developers with that knowledge. And we also provide guidance and information to citizens and elected officials. So if issues arise and it pertains to our code, we help them understand what the code says. We help them with their decision making, but we also draft ordinances for our code that controls how we're using the land in our city and make sure that uses are jiving with the community's goals. Right. We also I personally draft community planning documents, so that could be a small area plan or a comprehensive plan. I'm actually working on one of each right now, so we have our update to our comprehensive plan that's in the works. We somewhat recently got done with the Webster Avenue plan in conjunction with the Highway 169 corridor study, so that was sort of taking a hard look at the surrounding development around the Webster Avenue 169 intersection. But right now I'm working on the Lookout Drive corridor study and area plan. The corridor study, of course, is being done by a consulting team of traffic engineers and the MAPO, which is the North Mankato Area Planning Organization. And I'm doing a area study surrounding that to understand where new development might go, opportunities for vacant land or prime land for redevelopment, but also asking the community what their thoughts are, what their desires are, what they want to see. A large part of my job is community engagement. With COVID, that sort of took a virtual route and a lot of surveys, but hoping we can get into some more in-person open houses and focus groups But community engagement's a large part of the job, working with the community, and I think that's one of the big perks of the job is that I get to work with people and understand their desires, their needs, and what they want to see. I also do grant proposals for funding opportunities for transportation projects, or that could be safe routes to school. It could be I just submitted a grant for trail wayfinding signage to spruce up our trail system. And we've worked with agencies such as SHIP for small grants for different things in the past. And so those are just a few of the things that I do as a planner. And I'm fairly new to my role as a city planner. I've been planning since 2015, but the city realm is much different than the private sector realm.
Sure.
So,
well, that's a lot of things.
Yes.
If that's just a few things, then you are a very busy man.
Yep, we have a lot coming through. Sometimes things can take a long time. The planning efforts do take a while. You have to, I wouldn't say go through the motions, but we need to make sure that the community is engaged. We need to make sure that we're getting the right information into the plan. And then there's a process to go through and present to city council and make sure that they're on board and make sure we're hitting the mark. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this will be an interesting question for you, Matt, because you were an intern with the city of North Mankato, and now you have your full-time role there. In what ways have you seen the city of North Mankato evolve and grow since your internship?
So when I came in, the administrator was actually fairly new there, John Herenstein, and he decided that he wanted to do like a plan a year. So a lot of the growth has come from those planning efforts and kind of engaging in the different small area plans, engaging with the community. And I've seen a lot of things change in North Mankato. I really never stopped working for them. There's been a strengthening business environment. We've had there's the business on Belgrade Group is strong in the central business district along Belgrade Avenue. Mm-hmm. They've continued to add different events and things over the years. They do the business, the Blues on Belgrade, Bells on Belgrade, all of the different events.
Beer on Belgrade.
All of the things, yes. And now there's Bunnies on Belgrade coming up here soon.
Way.
There's going to be like an egg hunt. Yep. So that's a cool thing. The Connecting Commerce group is a business group on Commerce Drive. We did the Commerce area plan a few years back. And I think that we were encouraging very heavily that they do a business association, sort of resurrect a business association that was from the past. There was one formerly that sort of dissipated, but they seem to have a strong group right now, and they do events also. So we'll start to see those multiply, and hopefully they have some standing events yearly. But since I was an intern, the downtown's really taken a turn. The apartments weren't even there back behind. I don't even think the Marigold was there when I was an intern.
Sure.
Like not the Marigold, but the building that occupies the space now that the former Marigold building was on. And we've seen the new Franzen Bank development across on the north side of the 200 block. And of course our APX is at 256 Belgrade, which is being built now, which is exciting for us. And we had done a master plan for Belgrade Avenue and sort of identified some redevelopment opportunities, some places we'd like to see spruced up or developed, and offered some community, some design guidelines for down there. And it seems that we had a lot of hits on getting developers to get interested in the area and understand what the future of that was going to be. And that was all, that was a heavy input from the citizens to get that to move forward. And so lots of change in the downtown. Recreation, from a recreation standpoint, when I was an intern, I did the parks plan, and it was nice to see the parks sort of work forward and start adding the things that we had in the park plan from 2014, back when we did the plan. And it was a big project for me back then as an intern, because I was not yet a full professional, and a real good opportunity for me. but it's really cool when I do planning efforts now. I'm referencing back to this parks plan that I did when I was an intern, and it's a very interesting dynamic, if you will, I guess. But we're also working now with area partners on some trail wayfinding for the greater Mankato system, and the trails we're identifying through our comprehensive plan. We're identifying some trail loops, and so our recreation is really boosting. Of course, we have the swim facility that was added, and we have the great events like the Anthony Ford Pond Hockey Tournament that have come to North Mankato to Spring Lake Park. So all of these different things are really great additions. Our public art has increased. Of course, that's with the City Center partnership. They've brought a lot of public art into our downtown, but also through the Commerce Drive area plan and our other area plans moving forward. Area design is always a component, so we're always looking to add in area public art, increase that sculpture walk or whatever it might be. Murals, add seating nodes with some interesting sculptures. And these things, they go a long way with increasing the quality of life. They make North Mankato a better place to live and draw in more people that want to live there, right? So it's really cool to see that. From a hospitality standpoint, we finally added a hotel on Commerce Drive to serve some visitors to the Caswell Sports Complex. So really cool changes in the community, and we're hoping with this Lookout Drive corridor study we're working on now, we can also do some area design there. Maybe that's some streetscaping and some. I know we are adding a trail or sort of upgrading a sidewalk to a trail there for safe routes to school purposes. But not only for that, but also for public area recreation. And of course, we're one idea that popped up when I was an intern was that pedestrian bridge. It's not programmed or anything. We just did a feasibility study for that to see what kind of issues we would encounter if we tried to build one from Commerce Drive over to Caswell. And that idea has sort of moved along quite a bit, and it's in several of our plans since I was an intern when it was in its inception. So hopefully that would be a good addition. And then of course we are, there's some push to have our recreation center placed on next to Caswell Park. So that'll be a great addition if that comes through. And I think there's some promise there. And that bridge over 14 would be super fantastic to connect people to that recreation center. It would also serve as a safe routes to school, function. Children, there was a bit of pushback from parents on allowing their kids to walk to, say, Dakota Meadows because of the nature of crossing a highway interchange. And we're hoping that if we did put a bridge, it could serve some of that. It could make a safer path for children. And there will be some connections and some other things to consider, but we're hoping that in the future we can get those things into, have them come to fruition. And then I've done several plans for North Mankato. So we've worked on we have our whole northwest growth area that is undeveloped land, and we don't just want to start throwing stuff up out there. So we made a plan to guide future development, and that's out in the northwest area of town, around the 41, the Highway 41, Highway 14 interchange. A lot of industrial to the north to continue our Northport industrial area construction, and then looking for residential in the south. So lots of things happening, lots of plans. I think we did achieve. The administrator wanted to do a plan a year, and he wanted to make it happen and make some change. And I think we achieved that. So
it sounds like it.
And it's nice to see the plans are moving forward, and that they're offering developers. We do get a lot of questions from developers on specific plans, so they're doing their job, right? The plans are doing their work. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And the splash pad. I don't know if you.
Oh yes, the splash pad's coming. Yep,
parents of little bitty ones were very happy.
Yeah, that's going to be a great addition.
Yes.
And that park is already really awesome. That was also not there when I was an intern, but I did right before I left the city, we were out there scoping out the property to sort of identify what kind of park it could be. And of course, that is a usable park for all abilities, right? So it has all kinds of features that are, so it's a gem of a park in our community.
It's a beautiful park.
Yep.
And you forget until you're talking to someone such as yourself. You think of Lower North Mankato, Upper North Mankato, but you forget about it's a large area, and there's a lot of opportunity in undeveloped land. That it will be really exciting to see what that looks like as it continues to get developed. And you referenced some of our projects on Belgrade Avenue. We have our Franzen Bank project, which is completed, and it's beautiful. Franzen is very happy to be in their new location. And then Apex is also working on the 235 building, which was
a vacant lot.
Which was a vacant lot in between two buildings. And now there is a building there. So we're happy
fantastic.
To be.
For years we were looking at that and trying to understand, how would we best use that space. Ultimately, I think we knew we were going to put a building there, but there were times when people would say, let's put a park there. Let's make it an interesting little park, or maybe some outdoor dining space for some of the restaurants that are down there. But ultimately, I think the building's going to be a great addition to fill that in. So
it's going to be great, bringing in a new business. KUIC actually did a feature a couple of weeks ago highlighting a lot of the women-owned businesses in North Mankato. Like the Neutral Grounds, Heidi Hermel's Skin Clinic, which is going into the 235 building.
Sure.
So in what ways, and you have mentioned a few of these, is North Mankato attracting new businesses? Are you kind of the first stop for someone looking to do a new business in North Mankato or move a business to North Mankato?
Well, I would say the first stop is the planning that we do, the plans that have been written about the different business districts. We've covered all of our sort of major business districts now. So that's the Central Business District, our Webster Avenue area business district, and then Commerce Drive. And, we've done sort of the footwork and the plans to get businesses to understand where the opportunities are. We've done at least 2 full market analyses on one for Webster, one for Northwest Growth Area, to get a full understanding of the business environment, what could survive essentially, what's sustainable for different businesses. We do get a lot of requests in Upper North Mankato for a grocery store, and I'm sure we've heard that 1,000 times. And so that market analysis took a heavy look. Could we support a grocery store? And yes, it found that we could support a small grocery store up there right now. And then there's always a discussion about one that failed in the past, and we don't know why it failed. It's not necessarily that people didn't shop there. It may have been other things, the reason that it didn't stay. But as we know today with our market analysis, the market analysis sort of suggests that we could support one. So the planning efforts show the analysis behind that. They show where that information comes from, because we didn't just say, "Oh, we can support that," So
and it's funny because the way you spell it out, it's like citizens, why don't we have this, or they should do this?
Yeah.
And obviously there's a method to the madness.
Lots of questions to that, but we don't place necessarily businesses from city staff doesn't make that decision. So there's a private market out there. We have real estate developers, and we have they either have interest or they don't. And grocery stores have a formula for where they locate their new stores. Otherwise, they might put a store too close to another one, or they might not hit the right demographic, or I don't know how much that has to weigh into it. But depending on the type of the grocery store, they have their own formulas for whether they're going to locate there. And all we can do as a city is provide them with all of the information that they need to get an understanding of the business environment. And hopefully we hit all the marks to help them make their decision whether they could locate there or not. But we do put in the plans that the citizens want to see a grocery store, and that will also be reflected in the Lookout Drive corridor study, or the area development plan, because we've heard that through that process as well. So I guess I sort of beelined from the question there, okay. But I think what are we doing to support other businesses? We do, like I said, we start with the planning process and then we move from there. So
I think it's helpful for people to hear how that process works.
Yeah.
Because like you can't just order up a Trader Joe's and have it appear, even though we'd all love that. We can
ask them, we can say, what are your interests in this area? But, if it doesn't hit their marks, it doesn't hit their marks.
Exactly. So, Mankato and North Mankato have a unique dynamic, of course, with only the river to separate them. So let's talk about some of the synergies that the two cities find in working together to benefit both communities.
Yeah, we have various groups where we work together. And I would say the City Center Partnership and the Greater Mankato Growth are at the root of those. They sort of coordinate a Greater Mankato perspective, and they bring us together. And I am the city representative on the City Center Partnership Board, and also the Aesthetics and Vitality Committee and the Bicycle Task Force. So we're constantly working with the City of Mankato on different projects, on different, I would say, ideas for the community. And a lot of that goes to how are we supporting our businesses? How are we infusing art and design into our communities? And that's not just a North Mankato and a Mankato discussion. That is it's together. It's discussion with the counties and others that are at the table too. One of the bigger items for me that I've been involved with is that Greater Mankato Trail System branding that we've been working on with Mankato. So as I mentioned, we've sort of defined some trail system in our community. We're going to define some loops, but we're also looking at how does that fit into the greater system, and how can we brand it to open it up to people, the bicycle enthusiasts that are outside, and bring visitors in and say, hey, look, we've got all this cool bike infrastructure. Come on down and visit us. This is a great place to ride your bike. Yeah. So that'll have economic impact for the area. We're already pretty popular with things like the River Ramble and other biking events. There's some pretty active groups, the Greater Mankato Bike Walk Advocates and the Mankato Area Mountain Bikers groups, Nicollet Bike Shop. I mean, they're all very active in the community for bicycle advocacy. So it's really exciting to go through that process, and we're just sort of coming to the end of that now. We'll start seeing some trail signage around our community in the city of Mankato. And you'll see a consistent brand and some some QR codes that link out to a site that sort of gives more information about events and things. And so I'm excited about that. Also work with what we call the Regional Economic Development Association. I want to say the A might mean something else, but
we'll go with association.
I can't. Right. I'm blanking on it right now, but it's REDA we call it, right? So that's it's the regional economic. So it's St. Peter, Eagle Lake, Mankato, North Mankato, Blue Earth County, Nicollet County. We all come around the table. GMG is there. And we take a look at the business health in the community, the communities, right? That's a great group to be a part of. I'm pretty new to that in the CCP board, so still trying to integrate into those. But lots of cool things happening, and I'm excited to reach across the river and work together. That's one of my one of my passions, sort of bring everybody together and let's make this a great place together, So I don't think it should just be North Mankato and Mankato. Absolutely. Right? I'm an advocate for the greater good. So.
And you mentioned signage and branding, and I didn't have this on our topics, and I'm mad at myself because I think that the darn nice area is excellent.
Oh, okay.
Branding, I think it's so cute. When I first saw the banners.
That was a vision from the administrator, I believe, with Presence Maker, which is a community or a business here in town, I believe. We've got a lot of banners up around town, and it's got a lot of I would say, catchphrases that are interesting, that we're actually going to be incorporating that into our informational kiosks for the trail wayfinding, and you'll see some of the slogans from that in there as well.
That's fun. I love that. And it sounds like really exciting things in store for the city of North Mankato, along with the city of Mankato. So is there anything you'd like to add, Matt, before we wrap up?
Well, I would like to say that I did mention the Lookout Drive corridor study. We do have currently a virtual open house. I don't know how quickly people will see this podcast, but we do have an open house open until the 25th on the Mapo website, which is mnmapo.org/lookout. And you can go there and let us know what you want to see on Lookout Drive moving forward. It's an interesting roadway because it sort of separates. It used to be Highway 14. It's very large. We're not certain it needs to be that large anymore. It certainly doesn't. The traffic volumes of today and projected traffic volumes don't require such a big roadway. Mm-hmm. So we're really hoping to get the right fit up there and make sure that we're serving the area the best that we can. We, of course, don't want, if we're anticipating a ton of development, we don't want to shrink it and then be kicking ourselves in the butt, right? Yeah. But we also want to recognize that it's really hard to cross that roadway as a pedestrian. There's some residential neighborhoods that would not let their children cross that road the way it is today to go to school. So if we did build a bridge to serve safe routes to school, there would need to be some improvements to that roadway and crossing that. So that's, I really enjoy my job as a city planner. I'm able to really help the community, and something that when I was a private sector planner, I was serving many communities, but never really digging into one. So I really enjoy my job now to dig into North Mankato and help it be a better place.
Well, it's been a pleasure getting to talk to you. Thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and insight. And thanks for doing such a great job in North Mankato. Exciting things to come.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. This is the Build Blue Podcast. You can listen to us anywhere you get your podcasts and find us on YouTube as well.